Hi everyone, Saito here. I know there's a lot of guides for OBS already, but once again, I find that they're too in-depth and they're not easy enough for someone that really just wants to start streaming. So my guide is as simple as possible, and I didn't go into any advanced settings. If you want to see a few advanced settings that I talk about, it's going to be at the end of video. So stay with me and let's see what you're going to learn. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go on obsproject.com to download the latest release. You can see that there's releases for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. All of them are going to be working pretty much the same way. There's only a few little differences for the sources or the devices, but most of it is going to be exactly the same way. So just choose the version you want and download it. Once the download is done, open the folder where it is, double click on it, make the installation, follow the basic step, and everything is going to be done. There is no special configuration in anything. Just follow the steps and open OBS for the first time. When you open OBS for the first time, you're going to be presented with the auto configuration wizard, which is going to help you configure the basic things for OBS to be working. You don't really need anything else than those options that it's going to give you to start streaming. So obviously you have the options for streaming, recording, or virtual camera. We're going to go for streaming. Next, you're going to be presented with your video settings, and you can choose your base canvas resolution. What is your canvas? It's your big black screen here, which is basically your workspace, and this is where you're going to put all your sources in to see how your stream is going to look like. You can go with different resolutions. 1080p is full HD and 720p is HD. Most streams are going to be done in a normal HD frame, so you can go with 1080p or 720p. The FPS always go for the highest. Anyway, when you're going to stream, it might be lowered by the application, but when you create your canvas, you want to be as high as possible. Click on next. Now here you can see your stream information and you can select which service you want to connect. We're going to go for Twitch, and obviously the recommended option is to connect your account directly. So I'm going to do so and I'll be right back. So here you can see that my Twitch account is connected. I have two options here. Prefer hardware encoding. This is to code on your GPU and not by the software itself. Is normally easier for your computer to do so. You might not see the option if your computer doesn't have the option. And you have here estimate bitrate with bandwidth test. So the bandwidth test is the next step that's going to happen here. We're just going to click on next. So now that the test is complete, OBS did a bandwidth test with the different servers around your region, and they're going to help you get configuration for the best results that you can get for streaming. So we're just going to apply the settings, and here we go. You will see if you connected your stream account, you might see some chat pops up or your stream information. We're just going to close them for now because this is not what we're going to focus on today. Welcome to your OBS. You have your canvas as we discussed earlier, where you're going to place all your sources. The scenes are collections of sources. So you can all configure different scenes for many different selections, but we're going to come back for that later. The sources are all the sources that you're going to see on your canvas or the audio that you will add to your stream. The audio mixer is all the audio sources that you're going to have if you want to control the volume of them. The scene transitions are to transition between different scenes. And the controls is pretty easy. Start the streaming, start recording, your virtual camera, your studio mode, and the settings. But we're not going to go into those right away. So let's start by the second one. The reason why we start by the sources, that's because that's where all the work is going to be done. So let's start by adding my camera. So I'm going to click on the plus, and you can see all the different options that you have to add sources. We're going to add a video capture device. Now you're presented with a create new device. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to make sure to name everything with a name that you're going to remember, especially the sources, because the sources can be reused in every scenes. So we're going to call my camera by the name of it. We're going to click on OK, and then we're going to select the camera, and here it is. Depending on the camera you use, it's possible that it's not going to be in full HD right away, and it might be in 6:9 like you have now. What you can do is that you're going to go down to the resolution, you're going to change to custom, and then you're going to select a resolution that's going to actually go in HD. Always try to put the FPS to the maximum you can. And voila, you now have your camera on your canvas. Next, to see what you can do with your sources, we're going to add an image. Again, we're going to name the image to make sure that we can find it again. As you can see, the image is bigger than your canvas, so we're going to actually make it smaller. So you can just drag with the corner like this until it's small enough to put it in your canvas. But as you can see, it's a bit bigger than the canvas, so we're just going to put it to the maximum, place it in the right direction. Those bands here means that it's outside your canvas and those portions are not going to be streamed. So now your image is on top of your camera. So what you can do is to order your sources. The higher the source is, the more in front of everything it is. So we're going to click on the camera and we're just going to press on up and voila, your camera is back on top. But we also want to see the image. So we're going to select the camera, we're going to resize the image, and there you go. You have your image and your own camera on top of it. That's pretty much what the sources do. Each scenes are a collection of different sources. For example, if we create a new scene for an introduction, and we're going to move it up because I mean that would be the first scene that you're probably going to use, and we're going to add a camera, the video capture device, and you can see here that your camera is already here. Again, we can put it full screen, and now you can introduce yourself to your people and say like, hey guys, I'm online now, let's go for streaming. So now you have your introduction scene. So let's add a new scene for your gaming. Click on the plus, name it. And now we can see that there's no source again. This time we're going to add a display capture. We're going to call it gaming display. We're going to select the source we want. And voila. And now we know that this is going to be the display where your gaming is going to be. And we also want to have our camera. We're going to make it smaller and place like this. So now when you're going to start your game, you're going to have your game display in the display capture and your camera on top of it. Let's see what it looks like. And here you go. This is how it's going to look like. You have your game at the back and you have your camera right on the corner here. You can still move the camera around to make it look better. And here you go. As simple as that, you already have your gaming and your camera for streaming. Next, the audio mixer is where you're going to control your volume and your audio devices. Your audio devices can be added by sources or directly in the systems of OBS. The difference is that if you add it by sources, when you change scenes, the devices will actually not be going through different scenes. For example, if I add the Logitech input capture, Logi C310 mic, you see now the device is here, but if I go to the next scene, this one is going to go away because it's not part of that scene. So if you forget to add it to different scenes, you might stop having audio while you're streaming. So the best way to go about it is to actually go directly in the settings, in audio, and add it here through the global audio devices. So this means that it's always going to be available through different scenes. The first one is how the sound of your computer is coming out. So if you're playing a game, like in my case, I have two different computer speakers. So I have to use the USB one because I'm using the docking station. Then the microphone, if you want to have a microphone available through all your scenes, you're going to use a microphone here, which is going to make it appear in the audio mixer. You can also control your volume with this here. Try not to hit the red when you're talking because like right now, the Logitech camera is quite sensitive. So when I talk loud, it's like, ooh, I'm getting in the red and I don't want that. I would actually want to lower it as much as possible. And then when I do my ooh, it stays in the yellow part. So at least this doesn't get super loud for your viewers. There you go. You already have everything you need to know to start streaming. If you want to know a little bit more about advanced settings, I'm not going to go too much in depth into it, but I'm going to show you a few settings that could help you go more easily about doing your things. So let's look at the different settings we can use. In the output here, you can select those to make sure that you don't start or stop stream in the middle of doing something. If you go a bit lower, you have the source alignment snapping, which helps you work on your canvas. You can select the sensitivity of it, so how far you would be from the edge before it clips to it, or you can also select to snap to other sources. So if you have two devices that you want them to be on top of each other and be aligned, then it's going to be easier to do. The same thing as selecting for the horizontal or vertical center. The next one we're going to look at, we're going to go into output. Under streaming, this is going to be the configuration you're going to use to contact the different streaming services that you're going to use. The bitrate, the video bitrate, is pretty much the bandwidth that you need to use to upload to the streaming service. So make sure to use something that your computer will allow you to do. Normally, if you did the auto configuration at the beginning, OBS set it to something that you will be able to do. I will put in the description down there the links to Twitch and YouTube encoder to make sure that your video bitrate fits with your FPS and everything else that you're configured. This is going to help you to make sure to have the best possible output for it. The audio bitrate, obviously, the highest it's going to be, the best quality it's going to be. Let's talk again about the video encoder. As you can see on my computer, I have a video encoder, which is an NVIDIA one. And it's probably going to give me a better result than the software one. The software one normally is more intensive on your CPU, as in when you use the hardware one, it's going to use your graphics processor unit, your GPU, instead of your CPU. But don't take my word for it. You might have to use the software. I know one of my streamer friends that had to go with the software one as the hardware that he has was not strong enough to do it. For the rest, just leave the standard settings and it should be enough for you. If you want to go deeper into it and you want to go to the advanced mode, you can go online. There's a lot of tutorial that will give you more details about it. The audio, we already talked about it. This is where you set all your global devices, and this is the ones that are going to stay here between each scenes. The last one I want to talk about today is the video portion. As you can see, the base canvas resolution, what we set up earlier in the auto configuration, it's the canvas size that you have at the back. The output is going to be what you're going to send to the streaming services. So it is possible that OBS possibly put it lower than what you have on your canvas. That means that your computer is probably not strong enough to send the full resolution to the streaming services, or because your internet is not fast enough to send the full resolution. But again, trust OBS at the beginning, and you can change it later, and you can make more tests later. Well, that's it for today. That's what I wanted to show you. This is really the basic configuration that you can do with OBS, a little bit of advanced configuration, but trust me, this is far, far, far from being any advanced configuration that you want to do. This is really just to get you started and so you can start streaming as fast as possible. There is way more things to be added into this. You can find more tutorial online about advanced configurations, how to have those alerts configured, about all the alerts that you can get in your chat, things that can react on your screen for different alerts. And I'm going to add more tutorials, but I really wanted to make something simple for you to be ready to start as fast as possible, to at least try if you like it or not, because it's not for everyone. And well, I hope you liked it, and start streaming.
Start now.